Greetings, everyone. I'm very happy to be speaking to you right now. And I realized in my first video I made a serious mistake. And what that mistake was based on was me stating that the video was directed toward African Americans, which was a mistake. First of all, when you understand the etymology of African Americans, especially if you understand the Moorish paradigm, it doesn't make any sense, but that's another subject, so we'll not talk about that right now. But I did want to share this with you. I wanted to speak on subjects that individuals who are considered black, African Americans, Moors, as a rule, we do not touch on, and if we do, we are considered that something's wrong with us, or we might have some psychological problems, etc. When in fact that's not the case. I wanted to touch on certain teachings. In particular, I wanted to name at least 3 pieces of literature that you can investigate for yourself. You can generally go on the internet, or you can go on YouTube. Basically, when I give out information, I try to make sure that information is free, that you will not have to purchase it, because what you find out is that true knowledge, when I say true knowledge now, knowledge as a rule is relative in terms of as you delve deeper into what's really valuable and what's not. Generally, there is a dollar amount that is placed to it. So if you are monetarily considered poor, or you do not have the funds to buy a book that might be priced at, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, $8,000, $4,000. There's probably books that allegedly the price is $100,000, $50,000, $25,000, or the data compiled is $100,000. Should that knowledge be denied you if you are truly wanting of this information so that it could magnify and transform your life? And that's where an individual like me comes into play. And I hope to do well at this. So I would like to say that I have an associate of mine who constantly tells me that I've read all these books, I've studied isms and ologies, and I don't share it. And this individual feels that that is not wise. The reason why I speak on this individual is because they have had the kind of lifestyle and just how they conduct themselves that I value, and I think it is important, and that's primarily one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. Otherwise, I probably would say something like every other couple weeks or months I'll say, hey, I'm supposed to be doing a video, and I never get through to it. So let's get right to it. This is really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about 3 books that you can look up. One is called Ramtha, spelled RAMTHA, The White Book, .pdf. Again, RAMTHA, The White Book, .pdf. Ramtha, The White Book. The second book is called Ramtha, The Beginner's Guide in Creating Reality. Ramtha, The Beginner's Guide in Creating Reality, .pdf. The other piece of literature is called Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. Again, Dr. Michael Newton, Journey of Souls. He also has a book called Life Between Lives. Life Between Lives. The reason why this data is so important to me is because with the COVID-19 out, there's no telling how many millions, how much fraud is going down based on this alleged stimulus package, etc. Just people really don't know what to think, what to believe. Well, this is how I speak to you. What I speak to you about is what resonates with you. What makes sense to your inner self, which we could state is the soul. And so I like to talk about the one book called Journey of Souls. So Journey of Souls is about a book produced by a doctor by the name of Dr. Michael Newton, where he is a pure cynic. He is very concerned about his MD degree. He is very concerned about how his colleagues are going to try to perceive him if he takes a certain position on whatever that paradigm might be. Well, what happens is he gets a patient who comes to him who has a recurring pain on their left side. And the individual believes that this is a birthmark. Well, it is a birthmark, but he's never been involved in any kind of where something should be causing him the pain that he has. So he's about between 40s and his 50s. And so Dr. Newton calls him in. He begins to begin this hypnotic procedure to putting him under in terms of reaching his subconscious self. So what happens is, as he's counting down, say 88, 87, 86, 85, and so on, Dr. Newton's receptionist knocks on the door, and she makes a comment to Dr. Newton that obviously was very important. The only thing about it is that his patient is still going down in his hypnotic state. So Dr. Newton says to the gentleman, he says, "Where are you at?" So the guy basically says, "Look," he says, I'm on a battlefield in France. I just was bayoneted." So Dr. Newton continues asking questions like, what is your serial number? What is your rank? What is your name? What is the battlefield called? What does your uniform look like? Who's around you? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, make a long story short, this gives pause for reincarnation or other lives. And that's been on my mind since I cannot remember when it has not been. However, for most of my life, I've been ridiculed with some of how I believed, how I've researched, and just how my life has went up to right now. So you may say, where am I going with this? Well, this is where I'm going at with this. First of all, as a rule, individuals who are called, whether you want to call yourself Negro, Black, African American, or more, very rarely do we talk about what is not permissible. And so I've reached a point in my life right now where I'm not looking for someone to agree or say, hey, what you think or how you feel or what you research has value. What matters to me is that it has value to me, and maybe I might reach out and find someone who can somewhat investigate for themselves. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm not saying believe me. I'm saying research for yourself, because we're living in an era time right now that we need more truth that is relative to our reality. What's important? At the end of the day, the main things that are important is where you're going, where did you come from, and what's valuable. Other than that, everything else is not very important. The other thing is, in terms of Michael Newton, what makes him so powerful is that he created 3,000 case histories on past lives. And what Dr. Newton has found out is that indeed you do ask to be here. I've heard individuals say that children don't ask to be here. That's not the case. Depending on what circumstances they're in, what happens, we all know, if you've been looking at the news, the whole nine, all the craziness that's going on. The only thing about it is that it's been going on, it's just that it has not been reported and or on video or what have you. Okay? The other thing is recognizing that when you really begin to understand that true knowledge is not just out there, but you've got to search it out for yourself, especially in regard to the law of attraction. It is possible to reach certain levels to understand that there's more out here than what our quote-unquote government says and who is the real state. So at the end of the day, where you guide and direct yourself is most important in terms of where you want to go. So there is more in terms of the Ramp the book, the white book, that touches on not to seek for God outside of yourself. It's not in a building. It's not in a book. It's not in analogy. It's not an ism. And that we have been taught to externally place God outside ourselves when in fact God is within you. And that's why I'm currently doing this. The other book in reference to The Beginner's Guide to Creating Reality, what that relates to is, case in point, I know how it feels and what has happened to me in the negative to create reality. So since I know how to create negative reality, what I'm searching for now, and I'm getting a little bit better with it, and that is, how do I create positive reality? How do I attract to myself, whether it is through the law of attraction and or The Secret, Rhonda Byrne, spelled Byrne, I believe it is. Definitely Rhonda B, but it's definitely the book called The Secret. That was such a Hollywood that they had out. How do you make that happen in your life? How do you attract that special person in your life? How do you change your work condition? Another thing is that everything is going toward the internet now. So by everything going toward the internet now, 50% of everything now that's been either bought or sold is on the internet. Just like with the COVID-19. The COVID is one of the slickest moves that I can't even imagine, with everything I've studied up to this point, that the powers that be, which is beyond a government monopoly that goes into private ownership, especially via the New World Order, how they're laying this thing down. And at the end of the day, it's going down like this. Whatever can separate one individual from another, whether it's classism, whether it's you have money, you don't have money, the exterior, the color of your skin, your geography, that's going to be used like a super weapon, especially on a Machiavellian level. So I just wanted to share that. I hope that I've given enough information until I come back with my third video, which will be tougher than this one. And that's a fact. So until I see you again.